here at the Rising Star Casino Summer Nationals in Owensboro, Kentucky. It is hot, well over 100 degrees, but the action is even hotter in the tracks. Why? It's non-stop action here in Owensboro. 2 tracks of action, non-stop, all day, all night. Let's go to the track and enjoy the Howes Lube Battle of the Bluegrass Series.
What is pulling? It's the only motorsport measured in inches. Pulling involves tractors and trucks hitched to a special sled with a moving weight box. The goal is to haul the sled as far as possible before the shifting weight pulls it to a stop. The longest pull wins.
Welcome to another Howes Lube Battle of the Bluegrass. We're at the Rising Star Casino Summer Nationals taking place at the Daviess County Fairgrounds just outside of Owensboro, Kentucky. This week we're covering these antique tractors, very different now. Later in the show we'll have some light limited super stock action. But first, let's find out more about these antique tractors by checking in with Brett Kepner.
There are a lot of different classes in the Battle of the Bluegrass pulling series, but you'll never see a class quite like this. Brought to us by Steiner Tractor Parts, this is the baddest antique in the World Showdown. John Deere's, International Harvesters, Olivers, Minneapolis Molines, all kinds of stuff, and Bobby Hinton is one of the Oliver killers. These are basically stock, original, early model tractors built before 1960. What can you do to them?
Spend a lot of money on them. The restoration gets expensive anymore. Luckily, we do have Steiners to buy parts.
Where did this Oliver come from?
That is an 880, a 57 model.
How big is the 6-cylinder in this thing, and how much of it is really still stock?
It came out factory with 283 cubic inches. It's 610 now.
What's the difference between the diamond piston in this engine and, let's say, the stock Oliver slug?
First of all, they're way lighter. The pistons are custom made to what pin height I want, whatever you want. They'll build them any way you want them. That's the good thing about diamond.
Now, these are naturally aspirated. This is no turbocharger or anything like that.
One agriculture carburetor, updraft, 3,000 RPM max on the 6-cylinders, 2,500 on the 4-cylinders, and like 1,600 on a 2-cylinder.
Nobody in this class can go faster than 8 miles an hour during the pull.
It puts apples with apples. They'll let us go halfway down the track and blow the horn, but after that, if you blow the horn, you're out.
Well, one thing's for sure, this class is designed to be equal. An unbelievable array of machinery in this category that is restricted by, of all things, a speedometer. 2 cylinders all the way to 6 cylinders, over 700 cubic inches, all competing equally. It's a class like no other in the sport of pulling.
And that was Garrett Hinton right out of Owensboro, Kentucky. The Hinton engine-sponsored Oliver goes 287.11 feet.
As we check some of the highlights of this Steiner tractor, baddest antique in the world, here's a shot of Randy Hendrick pulling earlier. He went 310, and then Jason Thompson with his 460 Farmall rides it high. Look at him holding on to it.
It did all it could do. I just missed my weight a little. I went down there and moved some. I thought I'd be too heavy, and I moved 100 back, so I was a little light.
Next up was Bobby Birdsong from Eddyville, Kentucky, the Dirt Slinger Farmall. He went 313 feet.
Oh, Birdsong, an engine builder in his own right, laying down a good run, all trying to get the bragging rights of being the Steiner tractor baddest antique of the world. Birdsong takes over the lead early, and then one of the most interesting, Corbin Lester here with a 2-cylinder John Deere. Listen to this thing, Ted, over 700 cubic inches on 2 cylinders.
That's over 350 cubic inches per cylinder, folks.
Looking at it, just putting along, but the low-end torque, the horsepower. Check out the motor, a tremendous machine. It leaves the line at 1,600 RPMs.
You can actually hear every cylinder firing all the way down the course.
You can, buddy. It's a beautiful sound, beautiful sound.
Look at him riding it out like he was at the rodeo, still going for it. Uses the hand clutch from that 1940 some odd model to shut it down. Another unique piece. You've heard of Massey Ferguson. Before Massey Ferguson, there was Massey Harris. This is a big 4-cylinder in it, Ted.
It is indeed Rick Carr, the driver out of Morgantown, Kentucky. He calls it Papa Joe, the Massey Harris, making his way down the track. Pulled 256 feet. Now, you know, to get these to go down the track, first you got to restore them. Brett Kepner has more on that.
Where do you get the molds for the old pieces that are used in Steiner parts?
We have to have them made. We do the design work in-house. We draw up prints. We run our prints on a 3D printer and make the parts out of plastic and try them on. then we get quotes. We work with over 200 shops worldwide today getting product made. This started out my dad's salvage business, and there's a lot of parts that are real hard to find used. And there's a lot of salvage yards that distribute our product, and we get feedback from them. Plus, from our customers on our website, you can request a part. If you go to the product detail page, you can see diagrams for your parts. There's tip sheets. It also has videos for some of the parts. We have an internet website called Steiner Tractor TV, and we're making educational videos for repairing tractors. We're based out of mid-Michigan, a little town called Lennon. We have a walk-in store.
Rarest piece you've ever been asked to duplicate?
My father made a Minneapolis Moline UDLX manifold. I thought he was crazy because there's only about 250 of them that got sold, and there's probably less than 150 out there today. It's kind of an expensive item.
Well, to say the least. Well, that Oliver we saw was Randy Blanchard having some problems, and he was a former winner of the baddest antique of the world in Richmond this past March. Charlie Starkey, one of the winningest antique pullers of all time, coming to us out of Rushville, Indiana. As we get down to the last three in the class, the track is getting better. This guy, too, a former Howes Lube winner in Richmond, Kentucky. And Ted, other classes are handicapped by RPMs. These guys are handicapped at 8 miles an hour, the maximum speed, but on the far end, they're running them wide open, dragging about 30,000 pounds, which is incredible considering the horsepower that these old tractors are making. 364 takes over the lead as Junior Coe rows out. Now, Junior Coe is out of Glasgow, Kentucky. He's been pulling antiques for the last 30 years, has won the big one in Tunica, Mississippi. Can he win this one in Owensboro?
He's got that Oliver rolling. As a matter of fact, Tommy, he's going to go all the way to Louisville.
He's looking like it, still pulling it. He takes over the lead. How far does he go out? Up in the air. Junior Coe riding it. Will he keep going? He keeps going, Ted. That low-end torque on these antiques, they can just keep rolling.
Well, I gave it all she had, and that's about enough, I hope.
But it's not over yet. We've got one more puller. With more on him, Brett Kempner.
Even Steiner Parts will admit that finding old pieces for one of these tractors is pretty rough. Nobody knows that better than this guy.
They're very, very hard to find. You have to make most of them.
Well, the question is, did you?
A lot of it.
No kidding.
You know, it's a 1948 Moline U. I found it in a fence row, no back tires. 2.5 years later, you know, that's what I ended up with. It was right around 48 horsepower from the four-cylinder.
Oh, it is a four-cylinder. In that case, how big's the four-cylinder?
Oh, it's a big one now.
How big?
It's big.
All right.
Well, Brian Flynn, last puller in the class, laying it down. This guy also has a rock and roll country band, just opened, get this, for REO Speedwagon a few weeks ago. But right now he's focused on his Moline and trying to be the baddest antique of the world. Look at him talk to the tractor. Ted, is he going to beat Junior Coe? Takes the hand clutch down. He's your winner.
385 feet. Our congratulations to Brian Flynn. Here's the way they finished. Boy, these antiques pull a long way. We'll be back with more after this. This coverage of the Rising Star Casino Summer Nationals is being brought to you by Howes Lubricator, professional grade performance since 1920. And by Bubba Burger, you'll never bite a burger better than a Bubba. And by the Rising Star Casino, official hotel and resort of the Battle of the Bluegrass Series. Well, we're in Davis County Fairgrounds here in Owensboro, Kentucky. And before we get started with the Light Limited Super Stocks, let's check in with Brett Kempner, who's with the Powell pulling team.
One of the most popular categories in any Battle of the Bluegrass tractor pull is the Light Limited Superstock tractor category. And Kenny and Brad, one of the only father and son teams in this sport, let alone on the Battle of the Bluegrass Series, have got to have a full plate.
Working together, that's what we do. Brad and I work together every day in our business, and we work together on the tractors.
Which one are you driving tonight?
He can't drive right now, so I've been driving both of them.
There's no interchangeability of parts on an IH and a New Holland.
No, we have two tractors that are completely different from each other, so it's usually makes for interesting tuning.
Well, I know for a fact that this tractor uses an Urson camshaft, and Dick Poyer with Urson and PBM knows exactly what kind of stress these tractors get under, especially with the incredible low to turbocharger boost that these tractors are running under.
Urson Cams has a 50-year experience in the performance motorsports camshaft business, and this is really our first venture into the tractor pulling industry.
No kidding.
And this deal has worked out really good with Kenny and Brad. The science is a little different, mostly because of the RPM that the engine runs in. We're used to engines that run in the 7 to 10,000 RPM range, and these engines just don't turn that kind of RPM. So these guys want power at a different spot than a drag racer or a dirt circle track guy does. We've really developed some new lobes for these type of vehicles, and it's going to be something new for the future for us. We're going to work harder and harder to get into the New Holland, Farmall, John Deere, all of the different tractor pullers.
Well, right now, this trio is obviously quite the trio to draw to. 3 guys who know exactly what they're looking for and how to get it.
All right, thank you, Brett. We'll get to Brad Powell a little bit later on. Right now, we'll start the class off. Hooking up is Lawrence Phillips.
Lawrence Phillips picked up his first Howes Loop victory just about a year ago in Brandenburg, Kentucky. Now, he is a diesel. You can tell that with that black smoke belching out. He will set the mark to beat here in Owensboro, 302.45. That's a good run.
Not a bad mark to beat. Next up, Kevin Shingleton from Georgetown, Kentucky. He calls this the Kentucky Gambler.
Oh, listen to the sound of that alcohol motor in that John Deere, Ted. Producing right at 1,500 horsepower, limited to 370 cubic inches and a 3-inch charger. He comes up short. Something not right on that tractor. Usually runs a little stouter. Ron Mitchell now coming to us out of Shelbyville, Indiana. Strong running Alice Chalmer. He is lighting up good and he is rolling.
Yeah, but he's rolling the wrong direction. He's going all over the track. That's going to cause him, he'll have to use those rear brakes, but guess what? He just took the lead. He went 310 feet, actually about 320 if you tracked the way he went like a snake down the course.
I thought he was going to go out on the left. We just broke hard and brought her back and kept in it.
Well, it worked out well. Here's another International Farmall. This is Brad Powell.
Yeah, we just saw Brad over there. Let's see how that Urson Cam helps him out tonight. Currently in the top 3 in the Howes Loop Battle of the Bluegrass Point Series. The International laying down a good run. Can he beat the Alice Chalmers? Not gonna do it. Big Orange stays on top.
3:10:45 to 3:10:10. It is the sport of inches, folks.
Owensboro's a track that you just put it on the front and hang on. So we'll see what we can do with Dad's tractor.
You're looking into the eyes of Jerry Sipes and his family-driven entry.
Jerry Sipes, the winningest Howes Loop contender in this class of all time, 6-time Howes Loop champ. A perfect run there, up in the air. Can he get it done? Sipes, 325.
That is a full pull. They've set the full pull mark at 320 feet.
There had to be something that you were thinking about doing back there when you watched everybody else.
Winning.
We'll take a break right here. Our current leader is Jerry Sipes, and we got more coming up after the break. You're watching the Battle of Bluegrass series, coming to you from the Davies County Fairgrounds in Owensboro, Kentucky. Ted Jones, Tom McConnell, Mike Side with you. We're right in the middle of the light limited superstock class. Our current leader, Jerry Sipes. Up next, Mitchell Coomer from Columbia, Kentucky.
Mitchell Coomer on board with the wild man himself. He won the Bluegrass Nationals on NBC Sports earlier this year. Can he do it tonight? Not gonna get it done. Oh, Yeller will go back to the trailer.
But 317 feet. Normally that would be great, but remember, a full pull is 320. The current leader, 325.
Well, we're taking an on-board ride with Ethan Moore, the #1 tractor in point standings right now on the Howes Loop Series. The Kentucky Sled Hunter. Is he gonna get it done? No. He's going to gain some points, but he's not going in the pull-off.
Another 317-foot pull as we go to Lindsey Moore out of Shelbyville, Kentucky. He calls this the Old Rag.
That's right. It's an Alice Chalmers D21, a 426 cubic inch Alice motor with the new sheet metal on it. And Ted, he just made a full pull. Let's check out the house lube replay. We know one thing, his wheelie bars were working because he was using them all the way down the track to a full pull.
I've been watching the sled pull him to the left all night, and I decided when I got halfway down, I wanted to try the right.
Well, here's another guy that could shake it up. The Liquid Tube sponsored machine of Mark Filiatru out of Bardstown, Kentucky can survive. He's a cancer survivor. Had to put building the tractor on hold till he got his diagnostics back. He is free of cancer, but right now he is worried about a full pull, and that alky burning Ford does it, Ted.
Philip Bewley will be up next. The Ain't Misbehaving John Deere from Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Hey, we're going there later in the series.
That's right, that's right. Look, a lot of fluid coming out there. He could end up with a DQ on it. Lots of fluid coming down, rolling strong, but he is going to shut down short of a full pull. John Deere fans hated to see that.
Normally 307 feet would be great, but a full pull is 320, will remind you. Brian Bentley from Taylorsville, Kentucky calls it under pressure. Hey, it's a blue tractor, it's a Ford.
That's right, a tough Ford indeed. He rarely uses his front wheels, always runs this tractor up in the air. Look at it. He thinks he's at a rodeo, Ted. 314 will not get him into the pull-off, though.
Putting on the helmet next is Floyd Shingleton from Georgetown, Kentucky. A former Marine, he calls it what else? Semper Fi.
That's what he names this tractor in honor of. This guy, real unique's been pulling for many, many years. Used to pull a John Deere, made the switch to red, and it's working, Ted. He gets into the pull-off.
Oh, barely. The sport of inches, 320.45, but he's in. David Burnett will be up next from Brandenburg, Kentucky. Things are getting red with this international.
Burnett laid down the most perfect run I'd ever seen anybody lay down yesterday. But today, trying to make it 2 wins back-to-back, it's not going to happen. Gets up a little high on the wheelie bars. He is going to come up short just by a foot.
Wow, that's a heartbreaker. Look one more time at it, folks. Right down the middle, just the way you want it. High in the air, look underneath that tractor.
He hit the wheelie bars too far. It cost him on the far end.
Well, I knew what I'd done wrong about half track. But
what'd you do?
Underestimated the track.
Our next puller is Brad Powell from LaGrange, Kentucky.
Well, he drove the cut loose earlier. His dad, under orders from his wife and doctor, can't drive due to back surgery right now. So Brad gets to drive Dad's tractor till further notice. Doing good with the Ford, but he is going to come up short.
306 feet. Remember, it takes 320. One final puller to try and get into the pull-off out of Indianapolis, Indiana. I didn't know any farms there. Scott Thomas till the money runs out.
This is a Massey Ferguson. Brand new ride, only had it out for over 3 weeks. Still trying to get the shakedown on it. But Ted, look how close he gets to a full pull. That's going to be a tough competitor when he gets everything worked out.
It is the sport of inches. As we go to break, here's the way they stand. We'll have the pull-off when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Davies County Fairgrounds in Owensboro, Kentucky. Stay with us, please. This coverage of the Battle of the Bluegrass Series is being brought to you by Howes Lubricator, professional grade performance since 1920. And by Steiner Tractor Parts, new parts for old tractors. And by Urson Cams, 50 years of performance camshaft and valve train technology. Well, we're ready for the pull-off right now. The light limited super stocks at the Rising Star Casino Summer Nationals. Ted Jones, Tom McConnell with you. Brett Kepner's on top end. Jerry Sipes will be our first.
Jerry Sipes knows how to win in Owensboro. The key for his tractor, keep the front end up and keep the momentum going. He's doing just that, Ted. 3:23.37. It's a floating finish line, so that will be the mark to beat as we check it out on the Howes Lube replay. Perfect run for Sipes.
I just got out on the clutch too quick that time.
Oh, is that all it was? But you really didn't change the tractor in any way, shape, or form? Just let the extra weight work for you.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a neat trick. Lindsey Moore's up next with Old Rags. Remember, we've only got 4 guys in the pull-off.
Well, this is for the money. This is the only diesel in the class. The Alice fans are loving it. Uh-oh, starting to rock a little bit from left to right. That's going to cost him on the far end. And he shuts down there, will not get it done. 3:15.82. He goes into the number 2 slot.
Called that one exactly right. I think this Ford tractor is drop dead gorgeous. I love the headlights on it.
Oh, love it, love it. Billy Attrue laying down a good run. The Ford fans on their feet, having to get on the brakes, though. That's going to cost him. He gets on that right brake, the front end goes up. Sled shuts him down, won't do it.
Now, Jerry Sipes is off his tractor. Right there he is, folks. He's watching. He knows Floyd Shingleton could take it away from him, maybe with his Case International. There's Floyd. Hey, Floyd, put on your helmet. He did.
He did. Well, Floyd Shingleton has yet to win a Howes Lube event. He has been trying for years. Not going to happen tonight. Fire under the hood. He's still driving it, trying to win. No good, though, Ted. He will come up short.
Brett is with our winner.
You enjoy this nail-biting stuff even after all these years, don't you?
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't.
And no matter what, with the other 3 tractors that were in this pull-off, you didn't win by a couple inches. You won by a couple of dozen feet.
Was it that far?
It was that far.
Oh, I didn't know how far it was.
Good job.
And our congratulations go out to Jerry Sipes. Here's the final results of the pull-off. Jerry, a decisive winner. Our Steiner Tractor Parts hot run of the day has to go to who else? Jerry Sipes. What a hot run. I'm Ted Jones for Brett Kepner and Tom McConnell. So long, everyone.